Okay, friends, welcome to this lecture on rights. So, friends, today's lecture is titled The Meaning of Rights. Meaning of rights. Last lecture, we have come across what may be called the fundamentals of rights. So, we have talked about why the idea of right is that important in our life and how does this idea emerge in our routine life. So various aspects related to rights, right from the beginning of the ancient Greco-Roman times to the contemporary world, we have come across some themes related to the fundamentals of right. So this lecture is confined to the very idea of what does it mean to say rights. What does it mean to say right? So, friends, let us imagine something to understand what is right. So, you imagine a situation. You imagine a situation that you have decided to marry. You're going to be married. And so the bride and groom went to a lonely place where there was no people. It was a lonely place. And you said the girl that let us marry, and both of you agreed, and you assumed that yes, we got married. Does it mean that you got married? Not at all. Or the bridegroom garlanded each other and held a flower bouquet. You said that yes, I am married because I have a right to marry. So in this case, do you think that you have do you think that you have a right to marry and you will exercise that right no matter where or what? But friends, no one in the society will uphold your marriage as real. Why? First, it didn't get a legal sanction nor a social recognition. Look here, right to marry takes place only if it is recognized by society and legalized by the state. In your case, both things didn't happen. Of course, two consenting adults in our society can decide to live together and have a relationship and to form a family. No problem. But simply exchanging garlands and flower bouquet doesn't entitle you to the right to marriage. No, not at all. Why? It's not what we may call the right to marry that should happen. It is not the way it should happen. You are at liberty to marry, of course. You can go to along with your bride to a lonely place and you can marry each other by exchanging some garlands or flower bouquets and assume yourself that you got married. But the point is that whether you get a social recognition, whether you get legal sanction, it didn't result as a right despite the fact that you are at liberty to marry. Both of you are at liberty to marry. It should happen only by registering in the relevant government office where registration of marriage takes place. It should also be endorsed by eyewitnesses. That is, documentary legal evidence is important criteria of getting married. Or you think in another way. One day you went to a place where you have seen a person with a Maruti Swift car, right? There were no other people in and around. And you were happy seeing the car And upon your inquiry, the car owner was ready to sell you the car, and you have paid him the money he asked and took the car with you and you went home. Nobody had seen that, that you had made a deal with that car owner, and no one knows that it is your car, or nobody knows whether you paid that money to that car owner. Do you think that you have right to property this way? Do you think that your proprietary ownership of the car which you bought really belongs to you? Not at all. It is not that way your proprietary right to proprietary ownership form in our society. Your right to holding should be no way so to be right this way. You are at liberty. Of course, friends, you are at liberty. You can buy the car you like from the person you love to buy it, from whom you love to buy it, or from the place you love to buy it. You are at liberty. But that liberty doesn't result in right to property or right to proprietary ownership. It should happen only if few conditions are first met. First, the car owner must be its true owner. Second, the car owner must have registered the car with a proper registering agency of the government. And the car owner should have produced before you relevant ownership documents. And another thing is that your buying should be legally endorsed with a valid legal documents, which should be done with eyewitnesses. Documentary legal evidence is compulsory. Otherwise, imagine you parked it in your courtyard at your home. The next day, what if your neighbor approaches your house and claims that this is his car? How do you prove that it is your car then? How comes property here? Property right to holding should not take place this way. Or your property right to hold a car as your own takes place only if few conditions are satisfied. Simply having money and you going to buy it doesn't give you a right to property. Or one day, just a similar case, or just one day, while walking across a road, you happen to see a house plot. You liked it. Upon inquiry, someone who came across that road told it is his property. And you paid that money which he asked. And you now saying that it is your property. Of course, you are at liberty to think that it is your property because you have paid money to someone who claimed that it was his property. But few conditions must be met before making it a right. The seller you have seen must be its true owner. The seller you have seen must be its true owner and must have produced before you the legal proof that it is his property. Then your buying needs to be done in the background of legal documents, where your transaction must be documented. And there must be eyewitnesses. Your liberty to buy the house plot becomes real only if you have satisfied few conditions. What if these conditions are not met? Other day, another person would come to that property and will make the claim that it is his property, and he will sell the same property to another person as his own. And you see, you don't have any valid proof to claim that it belongs to you and you are the seller, and nobody in the world knows that you really bought this because there are no eyewitnesses and society didn't recognize it first. So same, or you went into a Maidan. There were no people and no one even in the surrounding area, and you are saying that I have the civil right to critique and dissent. Okay, it was a lonely place, a Maidan. There were no people. And you are saying, in the middle of that Maidan, you are saying that I have a right to criticize the government and I have the right to dissent the government policies. And so you have started speaking voluminously alone, but that is the fact that you are alone, voluminously against the government from that Maidan. and presented a long speech against the government policies. But no one heard that you have spoken this way or made a critic, and nobody knows that you have done this. Friends, do you think that you enjoyed a right to civil protest in that Maidan? Not at all. Never. Why? Why? You just ask yourself why. To go to lonely place or a Maidan and speak what your heart loves to speak is your liberty. You are at liberty to criticize the government. You are at liberty to go to a lonely place or a Maidan and say something. You are at liberty. But friends, that liberty doesn't result in a right. The point is that you criticizing the government in a lonely place doesn't result in a right, or it doesn't result in a civic right to dissent, because to enjoy your civic right to dissent, you must exercise this liberty in the group and in the society where you live. And people should recognize that you have critiqued the government. And people should see that you have said this and that. So your legal right to civic protest must be granted by a legal infrastructure, and people should see that you critique the government. Friends, all of you enjoyed rights only because you are born to a particular land. That's an important point. All of us enjoyed rights only because we are born to a particular territory, a particular land. Society there would recognize you as a citizen there. That society should recognize you as a citizen. It's only from your status as a citizen that your rights come from. But believe that not all rights are because of your citizenship. There may be rights which you enjoy even if you are not a citizen. These rights are virtue. That is, those rights that you enjoy even if you are not a citizen is because of the fact that you are a human being. There are some rights you will enjoy because of the fact that you are a human being. That even if you are not a citizen of a particular land, of a particular soil, you will have rights. We call these as human rights. That is, rights by virtue of being a human. We will definitely talk about this issue, that human rights, how does it take shape, in another lecture, not in this lecture. Here we are going to talk about rights in a very different way. We are talking about rights as a product of citizenship in a soil or in a land. For example, you come through the movie Paradeshi, a Mohanlal starring movie released some years ago in Kerala. The film portrays the issue of Indian citizens, some Indian citizen. That movie, the storyline is like this. Some Indian citizen who left the country, who left India before India was partitioned. And by the time India was partitioned, these people were not in India, but actually they were Indian citizens. But the point is that they left India even before India was partitioned between Muslims and Hindus, not Hindus, between India and Pakistan. And these people went abroad. And while Citizenship Act was passed in India, when India, was partitioned, the Constitution, as well as later 1956, I think, the Citizenship Act which we have passed, which said that all people who lived in India by the time India was partitioned will become the citizens of India. But friends, keep in mind, those people who already left the country in search of job to some Middle East countries, they were all Muslims and they were from Malappuram, Kerala. And when India granted citizenship to all the people who were in India, who were living in India by the time India was partitioned, it doesn't matter whether you Hindu, Muslim or Christian, India gave citizenship to all the people who were living in India. And these people in question, which the movie talks about, were in search of jobs during the time of partition of India, and they were Muslims, as I told you. They went to Arabian countries, Middle East countries, and they happened to reach Pakistan when they come back because they were Muslims and because India was partitioned. But they really wished not to live in Pakistan but in India. That's why they decided to come back to India, their homeland. But by the time these people who came to Pakistan from some Middle East countries, by the time they were about to leave Pakistan, Pakistani authorities have issued a passport to these people. And by the time they were entering, Kerala, Malappuram, these people held a Pakistani passport. Thus, when they returned to homeland, which was already partitioned, they happened to be holding, as I told you, a Pakistani passport. Now they are forced by the Indian authorities to leave the nation and go to Pakistan. They were, this happened in Malappuram, I think. The movie tells the horror they faced because of the fact that they possessed the passport of another nation, that to an enemy nation. But unfortunately, friends, now in that movie, even the Pakistani authorities would not allow them to come back to Pakistan. See how things are, creating worst out of worse. So the movie is all about the torturous situation of denial of basic rights if you are denied citizenship or if you are denied right to state. Friends, the torturous situation that may result once you are denied state, once you are denied citizenship is unimaginable. So citizenship right is very important right, friends. It gives you right to descent, right to marry, right to purchase, buy property or land or buy car or mobile or whatever you want to do. This is possible only if you are citizen of a particular soil. Once it is denied, friends, you are dead. Once it is denied, you will not enjoy any kind of right except the fact that you will have certain human rights. So since antiquity, friends, political thinkers, philosophers have debated how does this right come from? Where does this originate? And how it emerged? And what is it? And what is its nature? Philosophers have inquired right from antiquity. They place right in the proper relationship between individual and the state. So all these writers from the antiquity, you can see that they placed the idea of right in the location, in the junction between, or in the trajectory of state on the one side and citizen on the other, individuals on the other side. In that relationship, they place the idea of right. In the relationship between a state and individuals, you can find the location of the idea of right. So in ancient Greece, this relationship between state and individuals was embodied in the notion of what may be called citizen. Clear? This idea in the ancient Greece was placed in the notion called citizen. Literally, a citizen is a member of the state. Literally, a citizen is a member of the state. Once you are born, friends, once you are born, the land you are born are generally yours. The land you are born is generally yours. And you make the claim to live as citizen in that land. You make the claim to live as citizen in that land. You derive certain rights because of the citizenship in that land. In Greece, friends, within Greek city-states, citizenship was the idea of right of the people to participate in political life of the community. That was citizenship right in the ancient Greece. That if you have citizenship, you will get right to participate in the general affairs of Greek city-states. So every day morning you can go to the agora and express your concerns in the affairs of the polis. It also referred, not only that, now it also referred to the idea of obligation to bear the burden of public offices, that you will you will have obligation towards the state once you have some kind of say in the offices, public offices. So you will have responsibility as a citizen in ancient Greece. So your loyalty, that obligation is like this: loyalty to the nation. Once you are a member of Greek city state, you have loyalty to the nation. You are supposed to defend your nation from external threats or from enemies, or you are supposed to save the nation from internal problems, or save the country from law and order problems. But in Greece, friends, it was, however, restricted to a small minority of people. It is restricted to a small minority of people. Vismaya? Mute your audio.
Sorry, sir.
Okay. Okay. So friends, see, what did I tell you? I forgot the point. What did I tell you? What was it, friends?
Some people restrict ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു human rights, citizenship.
Okay, right. But in friends, in ancient Greece, the point was that this idea of citizen who will have a right to participate in the affairs of the polis were limited to very few people. That was the problem with ancient Greece. That not all the people will get right to participate in political affairs. In effect, citizenship was enjoyed only by free-born, propertied, slave-owning males. That if you have property and if you are a slave owner, you will have a right to participate in the affairs of the polis. That was Greek citizenship, right? So, such people who enjoyed what may be called citizenship will also have property as well as slaves, and only those people will have rights. Not all people will have rights in ancient Greece. That said, not all people enjoyed the right to participate in political affairs. Citizenship was the right excluded to women and slaves, but given only to, as I told you, Greek-born slave owners. But friends, modern concept of citizenship and rights are, by contrast, founded upon the principle of universal rights and obligations. Modern day idea of rights and citizenship are very different from the ancient notion of citizenship and rights. All of us, all of you people, all of you friends, you will have equal claim to citizenship and rights, and you will enjoy all the rights of citizenship, and your citizenship is given not on the basis of privileges, but it is given you on the basis of certain universal principles of certain universal rights and obligations. That it's a root. The root of modern day rights and citizenship lay in the 17th century ideas about natural rights. All of us are born by certain rights by nature, and even if there were no state, even if there were no political order, all human beings who are born on this soil, who are born on earth, will have certain rights, and these rights are not granted by a political order. That is called natural rights. And this tradition was started by social contractualist theories, which we will discuss next semester or next year when we talk about modern political philosophy. We will come across social contract theories, then we will study that. But now keep in mind that there were some notion called natural rights traditions, which tell you that even if there were no state, even if there were no political order, friends, all of us enjoy certain rights, and it is given to us by nature. And friends, that idea was born in 17th century, and this idea later elaborated in the 20th century. And later it resulted in the idea of what may be later called human rights, which was a product of Universal Declaration. Although, friends, such ideas are now commonplace that cropping up in everyday discussion that I have a right, I have human rights. Now, these are cliche words. People simply used to say that I have rights, I have rights, I am a human being, so I have rights. But friends, it is less clear now. Even today, it is less clear. What does the term right exactly mean to all of us? And how it should be discussed. For instance, what does it mean to say somebody in this class is saying that I have a right? When you say you have a right, what exactly does it mean is a bit difficult to answer, because right is a normative term. Right is a normative term. And from people to people, society to society, culture to culture, you see, when somebody says right, the meaning will differ. So, on what basis that you say that you have a right to enjoy certain certain right, you will enjoy certain rights? On what basis? And how far does this become? How far does this doctrine become? How far we can stretch this idea? From what extent to what extent you can stretch the idea of right, that to what rights we are entitled, so this idea is still unclear, friends. But citizens are not, however, merely bearers of rights. When you talk about rights, friends, also keep in mind, first point, that it's very difficult to exactly locate what does it mean to say right. It's a very difficult term because it is a normative idea. And second point that you are supposed to keep in mind is the idea that, friends, when citizens are bearers of right, that you are able to make certain claims against state or certain claims against society. Friends, keep in mind that citizens also have duties. You all have certain kinds of duties. You are supposed to perform certain duties. You have certain obligations towards the society. And the state which has protected your right, which has nurtured your right, which has cared your right, you owe certain, you owe something to the state, because which protect your right, which nurtured your right, which saved your right. So these obligations, that you are responsibility towards the state for the fact that you enjoy certain right from the state, which include that your obligation towards the state, which may include, but let alone, not only this, but which include compulsory military services. You are supposed to perform in the military when it is requested. When the nation needs your services, you are supposed to serve the military. And you are supposed to perform the duty to fight for the nation. You are supposed to kill the enemy in order to protect your land. You are supposed to possibly die in the war field once you are requested, once you are enlisted to the military services. See, friends, you are supposed to die in the greater cause of the nation. It is your responsibility. All of us are bound to do, bound to perform this duty once it is requested to us, because that's our obligation towards the state, because state has given you right. So once again, friends, however, this raises another difficult question. In particular, what are the origin of such obligations? Why do we have such obligations towards the state? That's a very interesting question. Why do we, why do we have certain obligations towards the state, that we are supposed to perform certain duties once it is demanded by the state? We don't know. But friends, the point is that we have no idea about what is the logic in state demanding obligations from you. That you should defend the nation, you should die in defense of your soil, and you should show your loyalty to the nation. Question is, why should I oblige the nation? And what kind of claims does the state make upon you as a citizen? What kind of claim does the state make upon the citizen? Why the nation does make such claims upon you, that you should perform certain duties when it is requested, defend the nation, die in the battlefield? for the greater cause of the nation. On what basis state demand that? So moreover, are these claims of the nation absolute? We should also ask this. Are these claims of the nation upon you absolute? Can citizen in certain circumstances be relieved from fulfilling such obligations? Is there any exemptions to such obligations? So friends, there are plenty of questions related to rights, the philosophy of right. And all such questions, such as what makes you right and why state makes claim on you, are linked in any way the very idea of citizenship. So rights and citizenship are closely connected. So the notion of a proper balance between the rights and obligations of the citizen is the basis of all good society. You can say that society is a good society or bad society on the basis of the fact that there is a proper balance between idea of right that citizens enjoy and the kind of obligation that the citizen will perform towards the state. Where there is a proper balance between obligation of the citizen towards the state and the rights which the state granted to the citizen, you can find the idea of a good society or a bad society. Question: is the good citizen, for example, a self-reliant and hard-working individual who makes no bigger claims from the state, that you are whether it is proper to call that citizen is a good citizen who makes little claim and who expect nothing from the state, or that you aren't making bigger claim, rather you are giving more to the services to the nation? Is that good citizenship? Or is it a person who is able to participate fully in the public and political affairs? Is that good citizenship? Moreover, the idea of universal citizenship any longer applicable in the present day, friends, because there are growing cultural and other forms of diversities in the world. So your society is inhabited by people who hail from different identities, different other nationalities. In such a situation, it's very difficult to define what is citizenship and what is right associated with that citizenship. It's very difficult because in your society you can see that there are a lot of people who hails from other countries, and many people from India goes to other countries and live there. And when in such a cross-national flow of citizens from border to border, citizens are crossing. And in such a situation, how can we say that that man is a particular nationality or that man enjoy a particular citizenship and that man be given a particular kind of right? It's very difficult also. There are so many people who are settled in USA. And how we define citizenship and how we define rights of that citizen is very difficult. Right? For example, friends, if a British citizen, but the point is that your right springs certainly from your citizenship. Once you're born, you will have some claims, and these claims get legitimacy only because you are a citizen of that soil. That is correct. But for example, if a British citizen comes to India, and once he came to India, visited India, he cannot make claims to right to criticize the Indian government. No, that is not his right. He cannot perform that right. He can visit the country and leave the country. It is an Indian citizen who can criticize the government of India from within the land. Or if a US citizen visit India, he cannot claim to buy and sell property in India, for it belongs to the nationals. You, the citizen, you are enjoying such rights because it is your soil. If a Canadian citizen visits India and he claims that he should be allowed to cast vote in Indian election because it was a time of general election, that time he visited India, so I should get some kind of voting rights. It is not possible, because right to vote is a right of citizens of India. That's why, friends, when flood occurs, you make claims to compensation because you are a citizen. When landslide occurs, you make claims to compensation. When road is potholed, your neighborhood road is potholed, you make claims that it be retarred or it be repaired, or you make these entire claims, friends, because you are citizens. That is, citizenship is the basis of most of your rights that you enjoy, friends. So then, what exactly right is the meaning is that right is a condition of social life. So that we can simply say that, literally say that, right is a condition of social life. What does it mean to say certain conditions of life then? Let us ask, what does it mean to say certain conditions of life? So friends, without rights, no person can generally realize his best self. No person can, generally realize your best self. Right help individuals develop their personalities. And rights are claims recognized by society and legalized by the state. That is, a right refers to one's due as a human. Right is one's due as a human or citizen or as an individual or a member of a group or member of a society. So it means what you are entitled to do something or to have something done. That is right. What you are entitled to do something or to have something done. It's a literal interpretation of right. To cite an example, that you have right to vote or to move freely in the territory, to have a health care. These are all your rights. So that rights are generally defined as justified claims. It is justified claims for the protection of the general interest of the society. Justified claims for the protection of the general interest of the society. In this sense, all of us human beings have been described as having right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. US Declaration of Independence, 1776. US Declaration of Independence, 1776 says that all human beings who are born in this land will have right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. They say pursuit of happiness. And let us see what French Declaration says. French Declaration says humans are free and equal in rights. Humans are free and equal in rights and enjoy liberty, equality, and fraternity. You enjoy liberty, equality, and fraternity. That is what Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen says, 1789. Right. So, let us see what does the Universal Declaration says. 1948. It says you have a right to share in scientific advancement and its benefits. You have a right to share in scientific advancement and its benefits. That is what Universal Declaration of Human Rights says. That is, when society progresses, humans can make claim in that progress. When technology advances in your society, as a dignified citizen, you can claim a share of that technology. More recently, friends, there were some additions such as civil rights or civil liberties, freedom of speech, freedom to assembly. These are civic rights or civic liberties which were later added to the notion of French Declaration and American Declaration or Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This idea later elaborated, which included, among other things, civic rights, political rights, economic rights, or welfare rights, such as minimum level of shelter, minimum level of medical care. Friends, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
മഴയുണ്ടോ അവിടെ? Is there rain? I got very huge rain here. You got rain, friends? No?
No, sir.
Okay. I got very big rain. So am I audible to you? Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, audible.
Yes. Okay. Friends, let us come to the discussion. So, friends, see, I would like to share some of the definitions of rights in this lecture. And friends, of course, one of the beautiful definition to right was given by Harold Lasky, a British political philosopher. Harold Lasky defines rights are those conditions of social life Rights are those conditions of social life without which no man can seek in general, to be himself at his best. That is what Lasky said about right. Let us see what T.H. Green, a famous English philosopher, he explained that rights are powers. Rights are powers necessary for the fulfillment of man's vocation as a moral being. Rights are powers necessary for the fulfillment of man's vocation as a moral being. Feinberg, another writer, Feinberg, Feinberg, Feinberg says, to have a right is to have a valid claim. To have a right is to have a valid claim. That is, he tries to connect right with the claim. So there are so many definitions. I have almost 14 definitions with me. I'm not going to give you all these definitions. If you want, I will share the notes with you, the definitions with you in your Google Classroom. So let us move on to understand the main components or properties of right. What makes right? The content, the constituents of right. Friends, there are some important points when we talk about right that we have to keep in mind when you talk about right. Friends, first point that you should keep in mind when we speak about right is the fact that right exists only in society, that exists only in groups, that exists only in community. That's why I told you the first case, when you buy a property or a car, if nobody there and it is not being witnessed and it is not being documented and you have any documentary evidence that you own that car, that notion of right will not take place. Or if you criticize the government from a place where no man's land, and where you went and you simply criticize and you say that I am enjoying right to criticism, it is not right, because right takes place only in group, only in society of people. Because rights are the products of social living. Rights are the products of social living. The first point, rights are the products of social living. So you get right only if you have a social living. You will get right only if you engage with the people, or only if you interact with the people. Friends, you can claim that you enjoy right. For example, you see, friends, for example, your classroom, your Google Classroom or your Brandon physical classroom. See, you are silent behind the screen in this classroom. Or you are silent in the classroom, you are very quiet in your physical classroom, in the benches, you are very silent. You're listening to the lecture, and every day you come to the college, you have your things finished and attend lectures and go back to home. You aren't asking anything. You are not engaging in any kind of activities which are expected of a classroom behavior. You simply sit and listen, attend exam. But friends, nobody knows who you are. To be felt by others, you have to engage in society. So sitting in a place and keeping silence will not give you an identity, and it will not give you a right. You are simply dead in that society. In this classroom too, you are simply dead, because if you come to class and simply sit and simply listen and go back, no, that doesn't make you a student. You're simply dead. So just like that, silent people in the classroom, nobody hears. Nobody hears you. Nobody knows you because you are not making a social living. You are not engaging in the group. Right is, of course, it is a product of social engagement and social living. That's the first point, friends. Keep in mind, it's a very important point. You can enjoy right only in the company of humans. Second, rights are claims of individual for their development in society. Next point, rights are claims of individuals for the development of society, for their development in society, for their development in society. Rights are claims of individuals for their development in society. Friends, you see, you are making claims. Right is your claims to things. Right is your claims to things. And and when you make claims, you will get opportunity to develop in society. Imagine a situation. You are in higher studies classes, for example, like this. And your personal growth is always facilitated by the individual attention that you derive from each teacher you have. And provided that you are attended by teacher individually in the class and in the academic atmosphere. So teachers' suggestions on your academic performances, teachers' comments on your writing skills, and their comments on the assignments that you have submitted, and teachers' genuine review of your seminar presentation in the classroom, upon which teachers say your strengths and weaknesses, or your facility to approach the teacher directly for some kind of academic help, that you can approach the teacher when you need the teacher for opinion on which book to read or which article to read. All these help you for individual growth. Friends, teachers' opinion on which places to go for higher studies, which books that you should read in order to attend an entrance examination in a higher studies education institution, that all help you. That said, friends, all these things work only if you behave the way a student should behave. Right? See, you see, what happens if the student is silent and throughout the study is not making any claims for help of the teachers, and academic world will not work. So it's your right that you should get personal attention from the teachers. It is your right. It is your right. You have a right to get personal attention of the teachers. But it works only if, friends, if you make claims. That idea will work only if you make claims. That you should make claim on the teacher. Only if you make claims on the teacher, and if you and you are able to approach the teacher, otherwise you are in a bubble. Otherwise you are in a bubble if you think that the teacher will come and help you and tell you what to do and what not to do in higher academic worlds. That will not work. Then you are in a bubble. It's not the way academics works. So you have to knock at doors. So you make claims. That way, just like that, if you don't make claim in the society where you live, you will not get opportunities for personal growth, for personal development. Right is a condition of personal growth. So to enjoy that condition, you have to make claim. That's the second point. Friends, third, rights are recognized by society as common claims of the people. Rights are recognized by the society as common claims of all the people. It is recognized by the society as common claims of all the people. Third point, that is, society should first recognize your claim that you are married, and it is witnessed by the society. You bought a land, it is witnessed by the society. You loved someone, and it is witnessed by the society. You help someone, and it is witnessed by the society. You critique the government, and society had seen it. So all the rights that you have, which comes through social recognition, and if it is socially recognized, you will get legal sanction for that right or for that claim. So first, society should have tolerance. Society should have tolerance to your claims that you want to be a lesbian or you want to be a gay, that's my right, or I love to be a bisexual. And otherwise, if your society does not tolerate your deviances, you cannot enjoy that right. First, society should be tolerant towards you. Only if the society is tolerant towards you, you will get legal sanction. First, you have to make claim in society that you want to marry a person of different faith or a different caste. Society should be first tolerant towards interfaith marriage or intercaste marriage. Otherwise, your liberty or your right will be in a total turmoil. So society should recognize it first as a common ground for all people making a good life. The third point. And fourth point, friends, rights are rational and moral claims that people make on their society. Rights are rational and moral claims. So you are not supposed to make simply any claim. You have to make rational and moral claims. That is, your claims are intelligent claims. You are going by a road. By the side of a road, you have seen a two-wheeler being parked, and you will not make a demand on that two-wheeler, despite the fact that there is a two-wheeler being parked and there is no owner standing nearby. Your logic says that it belongs to someone else. Your common sense tells that it belongs to someone else. Or be it ice cream in a shop, or be it a churidar in a shop, or a mobile, or simply a pen. You will not make claim if you don't have, if you don't deserve it. If you don't have money, you will not buy it. You will not make claim on it. Otherwise, if you don't have money, you have to make claim on the state that you should be provided with opportunities to earn money. So your claim should be very intelligent, right? That's the fourth point. And fifth point, friends, since rights are here only in society, these cannot be exercised against society, right? That's a very important point, friends. You enjoy rights in the society, so you are not supposed to claim against the society. Society will perish, right? You see, we get right from the society, so we cannot make right in a way that will destroy your society. No, you are not supposed to do that. For example, claiming heroin isn't possible in your society if your society thinks that using heroin is illegal. You cannot make that claim. Or male cannot marry a male, or female cannot marry a female if the society thinks it is a sin or it is illegal, it is not the proper way a human should behave. You can't marry, because society thinks that your claim destroys the society. So you can make claims in such a way that society thinks it is enhancing the social fabric, and society as a whole benefit from your claim. That's the fifth point. And friends, sixth point. Rights are exercised by the people for their development. Rights are exercised by the people for their development, which really means their development in society by the promotion of social good. That rights are connected with social good. That you are claiming rights for your development, but it also promotes social good. You want friendship, right? You want friendship. And you want cross-sex friendship, that you want to have friendship with your opposite sex. And somebody think that I have only boys as friends. Boys think that I should have only boys as friends. But at the same time, some boys think that I should also have girlfriends. So society should be tolerant towards cross-sex friendship. That you want to have cross-sex friendship. You want peer group socialization. You want recognition in the society. And you want education in the society. And society should give you all these conditions. And you may use it to your development so that society will also develop. Because these are social good. Friendship, cross-sex friendship, peer group socialization, peer recognition, social recognition, education. These are all social goods. When the people will get access to these kinds of things, society will also develop as well as the individual develop. So society thinks that if you are let free to do all these things, it forms social good. What if your society doesn't tolerate Intercaste and interfaith marriage. Your society doesn't tolerate intercaste and interfaith marriage. What happens, friends? Your society doesn't tolerate cross-sex friendship. Your society doesn't tolerate, sexual deviances. Society thinks that normative sexuality is the ideal norm, and other kinds of sexuality should not be promoted. See, life will become very difficult. If the society thinks these are all social goods, you will develop, so that society will develop. 6th point. And 7th point, friends, rights are available to all the people. Rights are available to all the people in society. That's a point. And 8th point, the content of rights keep on changing. That's important point. 8th point, content of rights keep on changing with the passage of time. 8th point, content of rights keep on changing with the passage of time. That is, friends, once men in our society fought for the right to enter temple. You might have seen temple entry proclamation in Kerala. Once men in our society fought for the right to enter in temple. Now people choose the right to remain as atheist, right? People choose to remain an atheist. They do not believe in God. Once marriage was a right, now divorce is increasingly accepted as good as being married. Once you fought for marriage as a right, now people think that divorce is a right. Once in India, you were not allowed to watch pornography, right? But now watching pornography isn't illegal in India, but you are not supposed to produce it and share it. But once it was a sin, and it was illegal in India. Once the same-sex marriage was illegal in India, but now people looks at same-sex people marrying as a right. The rights, the content of rights change from time to time. Okay. And 9th point, keep in mind, right is not absolute claims. Right is not absolute claim. That there are, of course, certain limitations upon your claims. Otherwise, you will kill the society. You will kill the society. The famous story of Bhasmasura, you might remember. Paramashiva and Bhasmasura, right? So just like that, society, if society give you all the claims, see, one day you will destroy your society. So society always puts certain what may be called restraint on your claim in the name of public health, security, law and order, social morality, social security. Upon all these things, based on these things, society put on limits on your claim. You cannot critique the state if it destroys national integrity. You cannot accommodate citizens of other country if they are considered the national enemy of your nation. 10th point. Rights are inseparably related to duties. Rights are inseparably related to, closely connected to duty. No duty, no right. No right, no duty. They are connected. And final point, friends, 11th point. Rights need enforcement agency. Simply saying rights doesn't work, friends. There should be some agencies to enforce your right. There should be a legal system. There should be a state system which enforce your claims. Otherwise, you are making claims, but nobody, there to enforce it. It will not work. So, friends, that's all about this lecture. I'm going to conclude this lecture. It's time for discussion, friends. Thank you.